Welcome back, Crenshaw fans. We're on chapter 41. Ribbit said something. I opened my eyes. A frog was on my forehead. He looked familiar, like the windowsill visitor Crenshaw had wanted to eat. I turned my head, and the frog leaped off. Next to me lay a human-sized cat. On top of Crenshaw lay a medium-sized dog, and on top of Aretha sat the frog. Two of the three were snoring. I sat up on my elbows. I blinked. Blinked again. I left the window ajar. Now, boys and girls, ajar just means open. It's a fancy word. That explained the frog. It did not explain the cat. You're back, I said. Morning, Crenshaw murmured, his eyes still closed. He wrapped his paws around Aretha, snuggling close. Just tell me this, I said. I crawled off my mattress and stretched. How do I get rid of you for good? I'm here to help you, Crenshaw said. He yawned. His teeth were like little knives. He pulled one of Aretha's velvety ears over his eyes to block out the sun. What did you mean about telling the truth? I asked. Truth is important to you, said Crenshaw, so it's important to me. Now please allow me to continue my slumber. Are you my conscience? I asked. That depends. Would you like me to be? So, boys and girls, a conscience is that little voice inside your head telling you when you should do something right and instead of something wrong. So it kind of guides you. It's that little voice that says, is this really what you should be doing? I checked my closet just in case there was a giant invisible possum or gopher or something lurking there. No, I said, I'm managing just fine on my own. Oh, really, said Crenshaw. What about that abominable dog treat lying on the floor? The cookie. Aretha still hadn't eaten it. I tossed it out my window. Maybe squirrels wouldn't mind eating something stolen. Remember when you stole the yo-yo back when you were 5? Crenshaw asked. When my parents caught me, I tried to blame you. Everyone always blames the imaginary friend. Then my parents made me take it back and apologize to the store. I think you see where this is going. Another yawn. Now, if you don't mind, I'll be taking a little cat nap. I stared at him. He'd made me feel mystified and annoyed and more than a little crazy. And now he was making me feel guilty. One way or another, I had to get him out of my life. By the way, I said before leaving the room, you're hugging a dog. I didn't see what happened next, but I heard a hiss and a howl. Aretha dashed past me at high speed. She hid under the kitchen table for an hour. So we know that Crenshaw doesn't like dogs because he's a cat. So it seems that Crenshaw is there kind of reminding him, maybe being a little bit his conscience of what is right and wrong. I want you to think about a time when you have had this feeling, guilt. Have you ever felt guilty before? That terrible, yucky feeling, and it makes you feel pretty bad when you've done something wrong in your stomach, in your heart. Chapter 42. Selling your stuff at a yard sale is a weird experience. It's like walking around with your clothes on inside out. Underwear on top of jeans, socks on top of sneakers. The insides of your apartment are spread out for everybody to see and touch. Strangers finger the lamp that used to be on your bedside table. Sweaty guys sit in your dad's favorite chair. Little stickers are on everything. $5 for your old tricycle that still had sparklers on the wheels. 50 cents for the Candyland game. It was a sunny Sunday morning. Lots of neighbors were selling stuff too. It almost felt like a party. My mom sat at a card table with a little box to hold Bunny. My dad walked around while people bargained with him and said, how about $2 instead of $3? When he got too tired to walk, he sat in a folding chair and played songs on his guitar and sang. Sometimes my mom would sing harmony. My main job was to carry stuff to people's cars and to keep an eye on Robin. She was pulling someone's old wagon that had a $4 sign taped to it. In the wagon was her trash can with the blue bunnies, which my parents had promised she could keep. It wasn't so bad watching our things get sold. I told myself that every dollar we made was a good thing and that it was all just meaningless stuff. And it was nice to be with our neighbors and friends, drinking lemonade and talking and singing along with my parents. Around noon, we'd sold almost everything. I watched my mom count up the money we'd made. She looked over at my dad and shook her head. Not even close to what we need, she said quietly. Before he could respond, a skinny man with a ponytail approached my dad. He pulled out a fancy leather wallet and asked my dad if his guitar was for sale. My dad and mom exchanged a glance. Could be, I suppose, said my dad. I have one that's for sale too, my mom added quickly. It's back in the apartment. My dad held up his guitar. Sunlight darted off its smooth black body. It's a beauty, said my dad. Lot of history. Dad, I exclaimed, you can't sell your guitar. There's always another guitar around the bend, Jax, said my dad, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. Robin ran over. She was still towing the wagon, which nobody had bought. You can't sell that, she cried. It's named after Jackson. Actually, I said, I was named after the guitar. It doesn't matter. Robin's eyes welled with tears. That's a keepsake for keeping. Here, you can have my trash can for free, mister, instead. She thrust her trash can into the skinny man's hands. The man began. It's a dynamite trash can, sweetie. I really like the bunnies, but I'm more in the market for a guitar. No guitars, no way, said Robin. My dad gave the man a helpless shrug. Sorry, man, he said. You heard the lady. Tell you what, though. Why don't you give me your phone number? In case we have a change of heart, I'll walk you out to your car. Together, my dad and the man headed toward a sleek black car. My dad's left foot dragged a little. Sometimes that happens with MS. So remember, MS, that's what his dad has, and it makes all of his muscles kind of weak, and it stands for multiple sclerosis. They exchanged scraps of paper, talked, and nodded. The skinny man drove off, and I had a feeling that my dad's change of heart had already happened. Oh, it sounds like Jackson's dad has to decide, make a tough decision, sell his keepsake to get money so that they can live, or keep his guitar, which is his keepsake. What would you do? Chapter 43. About an hour later, our landlord came by our apartment. He had an envelope in his hand. He hugged my mom and shook my dad's hand and said he wished things could be different. I knew what the paper was because I could see the words at the top. It said, Final Eviction Notice, which meant we had to leave the apartment. My dad leaned against the wall. There wasn't anywhere to sit anymore. Kids, he said, looks like we're going to be taking a little drive. To Grandma's? Asked Robin. Not exactly, said my mom. She slammed a cupboard door shut. My dad knelt down next to Robin. He had to use his cane to keep steady. We have to move, baby, but it will be fun. You'll see. Robin's eyes bored into me. You told me it would be okay, Jax, she said. You lied. I didn't lie. I lied. This isn't Jackson's fault, Robin, my mom said. Don't blame him. Blame us. I didn't wait to hear any more. I ran to my room. Crenshaw was lying on my bed. I sat next to him, and when I buried my head in his fur, he didn't object. He purred loudly. I cried a little, but not much. There wasn't any point. Once I read a book called Why Cats Purr and Other Feline Mysteries. Turns out nobody knows for sure why cats purr. It's surprising how much stuff adults don't know. I'm wondering if the adults in his life, his mom and dad, don't really know how upset Jackson is. We'll see what happens if they have to move out of their apartment next time, friends. But I'm feeling really bad for our character, Jackson, and it seems the worse Jackson feels, the more Crenshaw's there. Think about that.